Okay, hey guys. Use this review to study for your test on Friday. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to work it out. I'll be taking notes. Take any notes you need. You know you're going to need. Take any notes on the side. I'd really like you guys to try to work through this review first, or as best you can, or you can go one question at a time. Try to work it out. See the answer you get. Come back and look at this video and see if you got it right. If you didn't, make corrections, do whatever you need to do, but try to do it by yourself first so at least you know about where you're at. So I started this earlier and I got interrupted. So anyway, based on the given graph, explain the slope of the line, that's your y over x, in terms of the unit rate, so over 1, of the cost of electricity in business hours. Remember, if you've got a graph, look at your numbers here. Don't count your squares because it's not always going by 1. See, look over here, it's going by 20s, and down here it's going by 1s. So you've got to make some good points on this line. Remember, kind of in the crosshairs, like you're looking through a scope or something. So I made a point here, and that's at 20 and 2. And I made a point here. My y is 40. My x is 4. So I'm going to write that off to the side, 20 over 2, since that's the smaller one, so it'll be easier to reduce or divide. So then just divide that. If you need to do it in your calculator, by all means, do it. So 20 divided by 2. That gives me 10. Wanted unit rate, so it's got to be over 1. So 10 over 1. Okay, so that's my unit rate. Let's look at my answer choices. A, the slope of the line is 1 because the cost of electricity is $1 each hour. Well, is it $1 each hour? No, it's $10 per 1 hour. B, the cost of electricity goes up $10 each hour, so the slope of the line is 10. That sounds pretty good. C, in 1 hour, the cost of electricity goes up $10, so the slope of the line is 1/10. Everything was fine until it got here. Your slope, that's your y over x, so we got 10 over 1, not 1 over 10. That would be x over y. That's not what we want. That's out, not here. It is here, B. Okay, number 2, the following table displays the cost in dollars, y, per feet of fabric, x. Which equation, if it asks for equation, it means y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope, b is my y-intercept. Slope, that's y over x, change in y over change in x, and that's your y-intercept. So which equation can be used to determine the cost in dollars, y and x feet? So you can do this in the calculator. If you do, you'll go to stat, edit, and then stat, calc, linreg. You can do this, that's okay. However, some of y'all's calculators, like we talked about, are kind of weird. So really, to me, this is what the 7th graders do, so I know y'all did this last year. Just find your change in y over your change in x by subtracting. So if I find my change in y here, I'm going to take 9.36 minus 4.68. So that gives me a 4.68. 4.68, super. And then I can take my change in x over here, so 2 minus 1. Hopefully you don't need a calculator, come on now. And then, so my change in y is 4.68. My change in x is 1. So that's my slope. That's as small as it can go. 4.68 divided by 1 would just be 4.68. This is my m, y'all. That's my m. So if I just plug that bad boy into this equation, which one of these matches that? Well, this is saying dividing. That's not what we're looking for. This is saying x equals 4.68y. I guarantee some people will pick this. Don't pick this. It needs to be y equals. And your m is always being multiplied by your x. So this guy, immediately knock that guy out. So then C, y equals 4.68 plus x. Nope, we're multiplying. When it's right next to your x, that means you're multiplying. The only one it could be. C, number 3, a swimming pool fills up with water at a rate of 15 gallons per 0.5 minutes. Which best represents the relationship between the number of gallons and the number of minutes? So I've got gallons over minutes. The numbers they gave me, we're going to set up a proportion. They gave me 15 gallons in 5 minutes, so half a minute. So let's figure out how many gallons in 1 minute. You can think about it as cross multiplying and dividing, or we can just divide this down. So 15 divided by 0.5. Okay, that gives me 30. So 30 over 1, or just 30. So what that means is 30 gallons in 1 minute. Y over X. So I need to find the thing that matches this. A says 7.5x, where X represents the time in minutes and Y represents gallons. No, because if X represents the time, I'm not even really sure where they're getting the 7.5. They must have divided it backwards. So negative. B, our minutes for 1 minute, it says it's 30 gallons. That's pretty good. That's what we found, so maybe. C, let's look and see. My gallons, that's my Y. That's what it's supposed to be. Minutes is X. So in 1 minute, they're showing it at like, good Lord, 60, I guess? Is that what that means? Yep. No. 1 minute, we got 30 gallons. So C is out. D, 15x plus 0.5, where X represents the time in hours and Y represents the miles. No, that one wouldn't make any sense either. 15 gallons times your minutes plus the 0.5, no. If it doesn't make sense, then you know it can't be your answer. B. Number 4, which of the following can be generated from the equation y equals 4x minus 2? There's a couple different ways you can solve this one. One way is you can take each table and start plugging in to this equation, or you can take your tables, plug these bad boys into your stat, edit, and then stat calc, Linric. You can always do this, okay? But remember, a good way to eliminate some of them right off the bat is using your B. That's your y-intercept. Remember, I told you guys, if we're looking at a table, your y-intercept, or your B, is the y value in the table when x equals 0. So what is my B? Well, it's -2. So I can come to each of these tables and look and see where x is 0, y should be -2. Okay, so this one works. This one would not work. If I went backwards, I would have 0. This looks like it's going by 4.
Teachers, this is the last call for pictures. Anyone who needs their picture, 7th grade, 8th grade teacher, whatever the case may be, this is the last call, and she will be packing it up at 9:20. Thank you.
Okie dokie. So then C is not going to work because 0, it gave me a +2. D, well, I can look and see my y is going up by 1. My x is going up also by 1. So if I keep going backwards, if I subtract 1 here, that gives me 1. That would give me 0. Go back 1 here, that'd give me 5. That'd give me 4. So already this guy can't work. So now we can come over here. Since it might be either one of these, we can look at our slope. So look at this slope. It should be 4 over 1. So let's find our change in y over our change in x for both of these. Okay, so for A, if I've got, well, let's do it this way. 0 to 1. So 1 minus 0 is 1. Same thing here. 3 minus 2, 1. So it looks like my change in y over my change in x is 1 over 1. Does that match what I have here? It should be 4 over 1. No. So just to make sure, let's check this guy. So 2 to 6. So 6 minus 2, 4. 2 minus 1, 1. So my change in y over my change in x is 4 over 1. This guy looks like it's going to be my answer. Number 5, Paul earns $800 each month in salary plus a 25% commission or bonus on his total sales. If Paul wants to earn a total of $1,500 or $1,500 for the month, which can be used to represent this situation. So he earns $800 each month in salary plus 25% commission. So remember, we can write that as 0.25 on his total sales. If Paul wants to earn a total of $1,500. It looks like all of these are representing that. If that's your total, then that's what's going to be on this side of your equal sign. So Paul earns $800 each month plus 25% commission on his total sales. So since we've got 800 plus 0.25, 0.25 should be what our X is attached to. Okay, so already I can eliminate this guy. I can eliminate this guy. So between B, 1,500 equals 800 plus 25x, or D, 1,500 equals 800 plus 0.25x. You guys should remember this from the interest unit we did. You always turn that into a decimal, especially if you're going to be multiplying it. So this would be close. I guarantee some people will pick that, but since it's not in decimal form, it's not going to work. That's not how you would want to use that in an equation. Okay, we've got to go with this one because that's how you would want to write it, 0.25. You will always turn those percents into a decimal.